Battle Rankings.
Welcome to Battle Rankings Live. But it's not live, it's the podcast. I'm Lana, and today I'm joined by John. And for those of you asking about Masters content or content about German lists and some of the rules for the German lists, I hear you. I see you. It's coming. We just have life going on right now, and that requires a little bit more preparation and time put into the video. And today's video is a lot easier to record quickly. No comment to that?
Nope.
So instead, today, John is going to be judging another demo video that I put together for him. This is still the same game and the same rules as the last as the clips from the last demo video. So just to kind of refresher on it, it was a free for all, 50-point lists. And the objective was to basically capture the flag in the middle and to take the objective and hold the objective. Any other refreshers on that you can think of? Nope. It's a smaller table setup. It's not a standard table setup, just because of the recording space, as well as we're trying to make it a fairly efficiently quick demo game. We didn't want to spend 3 hours playing on a full table. Fair enough?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to first be going over the setup.
Okay.
Hi, Bugsies.
All right, so basically what we got going on here is it is roughly 3.5 by 2.5 foot table. We're basically using the boundary created by these roads here as our playing surface, and our deployment areas are going to be 8 inches out on either side. We got this objective in the middle. I hold up to the camera here. It's just a destroyed tank, pretty much. And it's going to be in the middle. Basically, what we're going to be doing is with our armies, each platoon that is destroyed is a point, and then whoever holds the objective in the middle at the end gets 3 points. Pretty straightforward mission. I guess now we can run through the armies.
This mission is not in the mission pack. We're using this for a demo game sort of play where we get to have fun and hopefully you learn something along the way.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't mess up any rules. So
we have a rule book though.
We do have.
We totally messed up the rules.
Let us know where we mess up.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so Lana, ladies first. You want to go ahead and run through what you got there?
All right. We'll run through it as we put them on.
Oh yeah, okay.
We have to alternate placing units.
So should we go ahead and roll to see who places the first unit?
Yep.
I roll a 1, and you roll a 3. So Svetlana, you place the first unit. That would technically make her the attacker, but free for all, we're both pretty much attacking. So.
I'm going to put my infantry with 1 Finnish infantry platoon with the Lati and heavy machine gun up behind this church building. Tunnel thing?
Clock tower.
Yeah, clock tower. There's a little tunnel. I can fit headquarters in there.
And then while she's doing that, I can just kind of explain the terrain here. Basically, for Flames of War, how at least most players commonly play terrain is all the buildings, such as these, obviously they're going to count as bulletproof cover and concealment, which means when they're hit, which means if a unit inside a building is hit and they fail their save, the opponent has to roll a firepower check. It just gives the unit inside the building a little more survivability. And you have to add 1 to your hit roll to hit them. It makes them harder to hit because they're in the building, and that
Craters,
Yeah, and then the craters are also
bulletproof,
Yeah.
bulletproof cover for infantry.
bulletproof cover and concealment for infantry, and then for vehicles it is just a cross check, which means basically, say I take one of my tanks here. In order for the tank to drive through this, it would have to make a roll of a 4+, and that is on the unit card. So you got your first unit placed down there?
Yes.
All right, so the first unit I'm going to place is light mortar platoon, and I'm just going to put the platoon leader right on the edge of the deployment zone here, just so he has good line of sight towards most stuff. And I'm just using my tape measure here to kind of see what kind of sight line he has. Some players use a laser pointer, but I don't invest in one of those. And then basically what you'll see me doing here is I'm just measuring to make sure everything's in command of each other, because if you spread out too far, then nothing's going to be in command and you have to take some negatives for that. So yeah.
And we're both packing a lot of infantry in a small space, so the
Yes,
units will
this is gonna
probably
be a-
get.
Very infantry heavy battle. All right, so that's my first unit deployed.
Okay. I'm going to set out my next infantry platoon. That's exactly the same as my last one. And I'll be putting it up in this other
What's
corner.
your 1AC, 2IC? You got to put
Oh. Wrong one.
Yeah, there you go.
Is there anything? Is there any commentary you have
Nope.
for this?
Your opponent's explaining what he's doing very well.
My opponent is again Luke Phillips. So thank you, Luke. I appreciate the game. It was a fun game. And this was done at Dragon's Guild in Dayton, in the Dayton area, or I believe it was Dragon's Guild. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's down in Dayton, Ohio. It was a good middle spot for him and I to both meet. And they were very gracious to allow us to record the game. And they had some really nice play spaces. They don't necessarily have the absolute most with Team Yankee and Flames of War products. But they got a good play space that we could do this.
So yeah, for our formation, Svetlana is running a Finnish infantry company, and I am running a Hungarian motorized rifle company. And then full lists will be published or edited in somewhere around this time.
I know we said to start with the starter pack, but we both happen to have massive amounts of armies for the most part, so kind of just got creative.
I actually never invested in a starter pack. I always just bought all my stuff off of eBay as I wanted it.
And fair enough, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, that's true.
Rule of cool.
Exactly. All right. So infantry platoon there. I will put. I have a platoon of heavy machine guns, and I will put them in this factory building here to kind of provide a little bit of overwatch onto the objective. Right about there. So heavy machine gun platoon going in this building here.
I'm going to put my headquarters in the house department.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of an HQ is to give out rerolls, right?
Yes.
So why are you putting him somewhere where he can't benefit anybody else?
Because I wanted them to have a fairly forward visual for the 1IC and 2IC.
Yeah, but they're not giving out any of their benefits that they're supposed to if they are at their infantry.
Well, I only had like one infantry unit in that cluster. So I tried my best to spread apart my infantry formation, my singular infantry formation across the board instead of trying to cluster 2 platoons into half of it.
I know, but you already put your 2 platoons on the far sides. The headquarters should go near the platoon, at least one of the platoons, to provide the benefit that he does.
He gets closer, kind of.
I would not put my HQ alone by himself up there. So
I wanted the HQ to maintain a good visual to perform for artillery.
Okay.
Which we'll get into artillery here in a little bit. You can finish judging me later.
All right.
But probably listen to him.
I will put my headquarters, my first in command and second in command, in this central building here. So my first in command, my 1IC, is this guy with the flag right here. I don't know if you can see that, but he has the flag on his base. So he can give his leadership benefits to everyone around him. And he's just going to be on the second floor of that building there.
I'm going to set in my mortars behind the apartment.
Okay, I have a considerable amount of unit.
So how would you deploy these 3 artillery pieces?
I would deploy them in a triangle, 2 up front and 1 in the back, all within 6 inches of each other. So that way the unit leader can give out his bonuses, but not one artillery template can hit all 3 at the same time.
So like 1 on each side of the building and then 1 in the back, or
something like that. Like you don't have a lot of cover. So, but with the way that the table's set up, you're not really benefiting from the cover you have now. So it'd be better just to have the triangle formations. That way you minimize the damage coming in artillery.
Okay.
That is all right. I will put my first infantry platoon down on the right flank. You can differentiate my infantry platoons because one's got blue on the back and the other's got red on the back. But something I'm doing here is I'm making sure that my platoon leader is within range and line of sight of my first in command. So say my infantry platoon gets pinned down, they can use the 1IC's leadership role to unpin. So I'll put the heavy machine gun out in front and then just kind of spread out the rest of the infantry around the platoon leader, because if we don't spread them out, at least to some.
So he's doing what I was talking about earlier, is making sure that his formation commander can give out that reroll. But with the way he's doing that, he also has to make sure that he's staying within command of his unit leader when he deploys. So he can't spread out like he normally would with his unit leader on the side, because everybody has to deploy within 6 inches of the unit leader.
Yes.
So I don't know if he goes through with that completely, but it looks like he was more focused on as a unit leader in command distance of the formation commander.
Kind of putting the unit leader
instead of
potentially further away from the farther stands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he might be deploying out of command there, depending on how far he spreads out.
Okay. Well, let's see.
To some extent, then we will get mortared, and mortars are scary. All right, there's that.
And if the dice tray gets in the way, we can scoot it.
Scoot it back.
so that you can make sure that you can see what our dice
Yeah,
roll.
honestly, actually, I can probably just put it right there because it's still on camera.
Oh, shit.
All right, looks like you got 2 more units left to deploy.
Yes. I have my recon. Does my recon have spearhead? Yes, my recon has spearhead, so I can move 6 inches.
Well, you could move your normal movement out, but you can't be within 8 of an objective, I believe. So it kind of cuts off spearhead just because.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it's 16 of a spearhead. So there's not really gonna. We're playing on such a small surface.
I
that's
won't
gonna-
worry about trying to
Yeah.
play spearhead. That might be a little complex. Anyways. I'll just have those there, ready to pop out.
Facing the wrong way.
Oh, they are. They're just ready to pop out and run in.
All right, and then I will place my last infantry platoon on this flank. Again, I'm taking care to make sure that the platoon leader is within sight and range of my first in command, and then just spreading out the rest of the infantry from there. And then there's a heavy machine gun also in this platoon. Put that there, and then an anti-tank rifle. Put that there. Both of my infantry platoons are mirrored. It is 7 stands, and they have an anti-tank rifle and a heavy machine gun. And then Monty, you have 1 more unit. Looks like 2 big anti-tank guns.
Yes, I have medium anti-tank platoon with 2 short barrel 75 millimeter guns. I'm just gonna camp them right on top of that building.
They're anti-tank guns. They can't go on top of it.
I like the spot.
He called you out on that one. Yeah, you can't deploy unless it's say an infantry unit on it.
I'm trying to keep them
There you go.
close enough together. What's the range? 6 inches to be? They're good here then.
All right. So that's everything Lana's got, which means I get to deploy my armored hordes now, which really isn't saying that much. All my Hungarian armor is fairly cheap. So my 2 heavy hitters are these 2 German Stugs, or Stug 3s. They're long barreled with the 75 mil. So I need to hide them from her anti-tank guns. So I'll actually put them over here on my far left flank, just so we can hide from those anti-tank guns a little better and maybe counter her anti-tank guns. And then I have 2 Nimrod anti-aircraft tanks, although I'm really just taking them for infantry killing abilities because their autocannons are quite devastating. And then I have 3 Chaba scout cars, which I'll put behind the Nimrods, actually kind of intertwine them with the Nimrods, just so I have some more machine gun and autocannon support moving with my infantry. Bless you. And then another real quick thing, all of our infantry starts gone to ground and in foxholes. So I'm just getting my markers out here just to signify that. All my infantry in the open is gone to ground and in foxholes.
Yep.
Which means that they are in bulletproof cover and concealed until they shoot or move. All right, and that looks like all of our setup done.
Yes.
Okay, so I put the anti-tank guns probably where you would have put the mortars to begin with.
Yeah.
Where would have you put those anti-tank guns then? Given the limitations of the deployment zone.
Well, I wouldn't have put them near the mortars, just for the fact that that's be the most likely place for someone who's going to bombard, and you have your 2 most valuable units in the same spot, which makes it hard to justify them shooting somewhere else. So, to me, you're giving a really good target for somebody to want to put their artillery.
Okay, but where would you put those
I would've-
anti-tank guns?
I would have probably put them there and the mortars somewhere else if you already planned on ahead of time.
So I was saving deploying the anti-tank guns last because I was hoping he would pull out his armor units beforehand, before I had to lay down mine, so I could get a good thing.
Well,
That's-
his armor units can move, your anti-tank guns can't, and you're all playing for one objective. So I would have done the Overwatch on the objective to keep the tanks away. But I would deploy them separately from the mortars because that reduces the amount of chance that you're gonna lose both platoons.
so maybe put the mortars behind these houses off to
Yeah, because they have
closer.
range and they don't really need to see their target as long as somebody can spot for them. And they have a lot more better range and the ability to hit stuff that's behind taller terrain, whereas the anti-tank guns don't. So I would have deployed the mortars somewhere else if you already planned ahead of time to put your pack guns there in the center.
Yeah, I just knew that I needed to have line of sight for those pack guns versus trying to hide the mortars.
Because as you can see, when you put him there, that forced him to keep his tanks away.
Until later.
Yeah.
Cool.
Roll to see who.
Goes first?
Yep.
All right, fair enough. 3, 4. All right, best of luck to you, Svevmarna.
All right, so next we're going over smoke.
Yep.
Anything you'd like to make note of before we?
If you're gonna do smoke, make sure you do it first step, because you can't go back to it afterwards after you're done all your shooting. Like, oh, it'd be good to have a smoke bombardment here. You have to do your smoke bombardment and then do your shooting. So I know a lot of new players forget that.
Fair enough.
So for the mortars,
You're gonna attempt to drop a.
yeah, I'm going to attempt to drop smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Those mortars don't have smoke.
We checked the cards.
Okay. Usually 120 millimeter mortars don't have smoke. So
All right. So they did drop smoke. Before we get to that clip, since we're already paused, where do you think I dropped the smoke?
probably in front of your infantry that moved up, not in bulletproof cover.
Okay.
So first thing, when dropping a smoke bombardment, you want to pick a spot where you want to drop smoke.
And then each one is
Each stand is 3 inches.
3 inches.
of
4
smoke.
inches.
So
I know.
9 inches of smoke
That's okay.
on this side.
Correct.
It was our oops.
So that'll block.
Should block a considerable amount of sight for me.
If I go this way, that is a very inconvenient.
Well, it'll block off my machine guns and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a very inconvenient spot. And we'll just use dice.
Yeah.
Fine. Trying to think of who will be sighting in for this.
Where's your 1IC, 2IC? Your 1IC, 2IC are spotters, so they can sight.
They could definitely be able to see up to here. So can I borrow the template here?
But you don't need a template for smoke.
Oh, I don't.
So yeah, so you're using your skill check for this. So your skill on your mortars is a 4.
Yes, 4.
All right, so that means you get 3 chances to roll a 4, basically.
Yes.
So, got on the first attempt, which means you get 9 inches of smoke.
Starting here at the edge of this house, and then it'll end over here. That'll be the smoke.
What did you think of?
That was a bad placement of smoke because you still left all the infantry moved forward open to the other side of the board to be fired upon. And if he moves or makes a blitz and moves, he can still get past the smoke and shoot you, and then benefits from the smoke himself.
Okay.
So you put it too far forward. I would have moved it back because if you don't plan on shooting with his infantry moved, because it doesn't look like they have anything. And I know he said he had a lot of heavy machine guns. I would have smoked like an inch or two in front of your own troops to make sure that they could not be hit.
Okay.
That'll be the smoke.
Alrighty.
Okay, so this is actually artillery. Oops on my part. Anything to say about artillery before?
Yeah, just be careful where you put smoke on, because that could also lead the people you're trying to protect could be hit from another side if you put it too far forward.
Well, I'm talking about like standard artillery fire.
Don't group your stuff up like that unless you're in a building with bulletproof cover from when you moved, because that looks like a big juicy target to land a whole bunch of templates on.
My headquarters will
Spot in the middle of them. Alrighty.
Yeah, it'll kind of spot back here.
Alright, so using our template here, we face it towards the angle of the firing battery. And so we put it right about here. That looks like that gets you 6 stands. And you're not over terrain, which means you get 3 tries to roll 4. So first attempt, she got it. Alright, so what we'll do here is I will point to a stand and you can roll to hit it. You're hitting me on 4s, so you got 4 regular rifle stands if you want to roll those. So miss the first,
Yes.
hit me on the second. And now that she's hit me, that means this platoon has become pinned down because she's hit me with artillery.
No.
Miss me there. Miss me there. Now you got an anti-tank rifle. Miss me there. And then the heavy machine gun. Miss me there. So that's pretty unlucky. I need to roll save now, which I make. And I got pretty lucky there.
But I am ranged in.
But you are ranged in, and that platoon is now pinned down, which is not good for me.
All right, so that is that. Any comments about the artillery?
No, that was a good use of artillery. Making sure when you're skill 4 or higher, you don't want to be ranged in on terrain. So that was a good place to range in. It was just some bad die rule that you only got one guy, but one guy's enough to pin down the unit, so that does help.
Yeah, I was trying to pick off those infantry. And to the comment about where the smoke was placed, he didn't move through the smoke, but he did use the smoke to prevent me from seeing that up until my end of my movement phase when it got lifted. Or the end of my next turn.
The end of your next turn.
So I did smoke on my first turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then smoke lifts
on the start of turn 2.
On the start of turn 2. So he moved up the infantry on his turn 1, but he didn't move through the smoke.
Yeah, that want to benefit him because it comes up on your next turn.
Yeah. So he moved up to it. He didn't pass it. I'm not sure if I don't remember if he did any blitzes or anything like that, or attempted to blitz. But he kind of was using the smoke as a cover that lifted at the beginning of my next turn, which kind of is why he's in that on that line that was previously made,
Okay.
which conveniently got him in the right placing and spacing for an artillery bombardment. And that is the video that I had prepared for you.
All right.
Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends that don't know about us that probably should. And something that was announced at Masters this past weekend was a little contest, giveaway type of situation, where there's a hint for future merch that we're going to come out with soon as we get merch store up. And it's in this video too. The information will be down below. But let us know what the hint is, and